Bay Area, 1968. A time of revolution and social upheaval. The world was changing, but in the shadows, something darker was lurking. Amid the protests and riots, amid the music and dreams of a new world, there was a killer. A killer whose identity remains one of the greatest mysteries in American history. His name? The Zodiac Killer. A name that strikes fear in the hearts of those who know his story. A name whispered in fear, a name that has haunted the minds of those who search for answers. He didn't just leave behind blood and terror, he left behind a trail of unanswered questions. He left behind a twisted game. A game that mocked the authorities, the press, and the public. A game with rules that no one could understand and no one could win. A game he was destined to play for years until he disappeared, leaving nothing but the chill of his presence and the riddle of his true identity. It all began on December 20th, 1968. Two teenagers, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. Just two kids looking to enjoy a peaceful night. They didn't know that this night would become a nightmare, that their lives would be tragically ended by the very shadow that had been creeping over the city. Their names would forever be tied to the mystery of a killer who had no mercy, no rhyme or reason, and no fear. They parked their car near a remote area outside of Vallejo, California. It was an innocent moment, a quiet, simple evening. Young love shared time together. But it was a moment that would end in bloodshed. The killer was already there, waiting, hidden in the dark. He had chosen them, random victims, or part of something far more sinister. The Zodiac approached without warning. His weapon, death. The first was David, then Betty Lou. Two young lives extinguished in mere moments. There was no hesitation, no mercy. A brutal act of violence executed with cold precision. There were no witnesses, no clear motive, no reason other than the urge to kill. The Zodiac had made his mark, and with his violence, he had claimed his first victims. And this was only the beginning. But the Zodiac wasn't done. His killing spree wasn't enough. No, he needed more. He needed the world to know he was out there, to feel his power. In July 1969, a letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle. And in that letter, the Zodiac made his presence known, loud and clear. The letter was disturbing, descriptive of the murders of Betty Lou and David, and a chilling promise to kill again. But what made it truly terrifying was the cipher he included. A twisted riddle. A challenge. A puzzle that would test the world's smartest minds, and no one could figure it out. The Zodiac was not just a murderer. He was a master of games, a manipulator who taunted the authorities with his code. A reward for anyone who could crack it. His identity would be revealed. A promise or a lie. But for months, no one could solve the cipher. And so, the killer continued his twisted game, watching from the shadows as the police, the cryptographers, the entire world scrambled to decode his message. Then came September 27, 1969. Lake Berryessa. A serene spot for a peaceful day in nature. But for Brian Hartnell and Cecilia and Shepard, this day would quickly become a scene of horror that no one could have predicted. The Zodiac approached them in broad daylight, a terrifying figure in a hood with his symbol visible for all to see. They were caught off guard, their lives forever changed in an instant. His weapon, a knife, glinting in the sunlight. What followed was an act of pure terror. The Zodiac stabbed Brian and Cecilia repeatedly. And as he did, he left his mark. A message written in blood. His symbol, his signature. A mark of his control, his dominance. A twisted calling card that would haunt the police forever. And just as quickly as he appeared, the Zodiac disappeared into the wild. His victims left to bleed and suffer. The killer had struck again, and his game was far from over. A few weeks after Lake Berryessa, the Zodiac made yet another chilling move. This time, it wasn't a letter. It wasn't a cipher. It was a phone call. A call that would leave the police and the public frozen in fear. The call came into the police station. The Zodiac himself on the other end of the line. His voice was calm, detached, almost amused. He casually confessed to the murders, Lake Berryessa, the brutal attack on Brian and Cecilia. He mocked the authorities, relishing the chaos he had created. There was no fear in his voice, no remorse. He wasn't just killing. He was playing a game. A game where he was the master, and the police, the media, and the public were all mere pawns. Each call, each letter, each killing designed to mock, to toy with them. The Zodiac was in control and no one could stop him. Even as the police scrambled to trace the call, the Zodiac slipped back into the darkness, untouchable. It was as if he were daring them to catch him, daring them to outsmart him. And for every move the authorities made, the Zodiac was always 2 steps ahead. With every murder, every letter, the Zodiac's thirst for power grew. But killing alone wasn't enough. He needed something more. He needed to communicate, to show that he was the one pulling the strings. And that's when his ciphers began to appear. In 1969, the Zodiac sent his 408-character cipher. The cryptic message promised that if it was solved, the key to his identity would be unlocked. But despite countless hours of work, the cipher remained a mystery. The world was left to wonder, was it a puzzle? Or was it a twisted joke, one more way for the Zodiac to assert his dominance over those hunting him? And then, just when it seemed like the world might have a chance to crack the code, the Zodiac sent another cipher in 1970, this time a 340-character code even more complex than the first. It would take years before anyone could even come close to understanding it. Each twist and turn, each hidden symbol, kept the investigators on edge. What was he trying to say? What secret was he hiding? Then, in 2020, the cipher was finally cracked. But the revelation was nothing like anyone had expected. The Zodiac's message? A taunting statement. I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. A cryptic message that only deepened the mystery. He wasn't just hiding his identity, he was reveling in the chase, enjoying the frustration he caused. As the years passed, the Zodiac's killing slowed. But his mystery only deepened. The police had no answers and the public was left to speculate. Who was this man? Who could commit such unspeakable horrors and why? Arthur Lee Allen became the prime suspect for many. A convicted child molester with a disturbing obsession with the Zodiac case, he seemed to fit the profile. But despite years of investigation, the evidence against him was circumstantial at best. Was he the Zodiac? Or was the real killer still out there, hidden behind a mask of normalcy? Other suspects emerged, each with their own potential link to the crimes. But no one could say for sure. The police were stumped and the Zodiac continued to elude justice. It was as though the case had become a ghost story, a legend passed down through the years, never solved and always haunting. Today, the Zodiac Killer's true identity remains a haunting enigma. The mystery of who he was and why he did what he did continues to captivate and terrify. His name is synonymous with fear, but also with an enduring puzzle that may never be solved. Some believe he died long ago, his reign of terror ended by time and death. Others believe he is still out there, his identity hidden behind layers of lies, deception, and the passing years. Was the Zodiac a ghost? Or is he living among us, waiting for the next generation to unravel the mystery? The Zodiac Killer may have vanished from the public's view, but his legacy endures. His crimes, his letters, his symbol, they remain with us, etched into the dark history of American crime. His game is not over. Not yet. And the question remains, will we ever uncover the truth? Or will the Zodiac remain a shadow, lurking just out of reach, forever a mystery? The Zodiac Killer's story may have faded from the headlines, but the terror he spread lives on. And with every passing year, we are left to wonder. Could he still be out there? Watching, waiting, ready to strike again? Or is his silence the final clue in a game that has no end?